avec l'exil. Chantal Biya, presque des maisons partout à Dubaï. Bienvenue au 20h. Ils mettent donc le feu. Alors, elle est donc au pleur. Les ambassadeurs donnent 24 heures à Biya de démissionner.
Donc c'est passé en Afrique. Nous sommes avec vous, madame et monsieur. Rebonsoir à tous et bienvenue pour cette...
3, 2, 1, go!
Ok, c'est bon. Bon! The effect is the same. So not knowing is no excuse. Fair? This is one thing you should understand about President Paul Biya. He studied public law in France and political science in France. If you look at the curriculum of public law and political science in France in the 1950s and 1960s, because that is what Paul Biya studied while he was in France. Yeah, there is a king called King Louis XIV. He ruled France for 72 years. He is one of the longest serving kings in France. The question you should be asking is, how did he do it? And how did this king, his reign, his life, influence President Paul Biya? Because you should ask, why is it that he is successful doing what he does for 43 years? He has a script, a mentor, someone that he has studied carefully, and he has used that script to program Cameroonians to be who you are today. And hence, resentment and righteousness, which is the manifestation of what we see today. Get it? King Louis was a ruthless leader. He was the Sun King. That is King Louis. He was the one who beheaded his finance minister for putting up a lavish party to impress the king's guests. The king was a Sun King. Never wanted anyone beneath him to outshine him. He was the center of attention. He is the one who said, "État c'est moi." That is, he is the state. Upon passing, King Louis wrote to his grandson, "Please love your people, care for your people, because what I did was probably not the best." Now, King Louis XVI emerged, and he followed in his great-grandfather's footsteps. A ruthless leader, got married to a terrible woman, Marie Antoinette. They looted the public coffers through lavish parties, had a good time while the country was perishing. The prices of bread went through the roof, which sparked the French Revolution. Now, Maximilien Robespierre was a lawyer that defended the common man. He emerged as the spokesman for the people. Because if you look at France during that era, we had three categories of people. We had the clergy, that was the first estate. We had the nobility, that was the second estate. And then we had the third estate, that was the common man. So Maximilien Robespierre represented the common people. They created their own parliament and stood up against King Louis XVI and the wife, Marie Antoinette, like Paul Biya and Chantal Biya. But one thing I want you to understand in this story is what happened after people were being programmed for a very, very long time, and they've piled up resentment. Because the emotional chemistry that we are demonstrating right now is a classic example of citizens or human beings that have lived under the same energy like that of King Louis XIV, which continued under King Louis XVI until Maximilian Robespierre emerged. They had the guillotine. The guillotine was a place where they assassinated anyone that advocated that King Louis XVI should remain in power. Anyone with that sentiment was taken to the guillotine and eliminated. The French Revolution was very brutal. Thousands of people died. Brave women went on the streets marching. This is what happens. Even a transitional leader cannot cut it. So what is happening right now in Cameroon? You should understand the script your leader was playing and the subjects he has trained. Very important. He controls the media, controls the army, controls the judiciary, the Constitutional Council. The common people had to rise up in France to say, this is our time. You won't dominate us, you won't rule over us. Prices are going through the roof. Our children need food. We want schools, we want jobs, we want roads, all the finest things of life. We want it. And you are standing in the way. And Maximilian Robespierre made it absolutely clear. In order for France to live, King Louis XVI has to die. So when I look at Tanganji Paul, when I look at Clement Atangana, the Minister of Defense in Cameroon, one thing you should pay attention to is, this is 2025. This is not 1992, where people were not informed. Because King Louis XIV could do everything that he did because the age of enlightenment was still in its infancy. But by the time King Louis XVI took over, the philosophy of enlightenment was all over France. And that is the difference. That is why that revolution happened. And so I'm cautioning not only the citizens of Cameroon at this particular crossroads, but I'm also cautioning Tanganji Paul, Clement Atangana, the Minister of Defense. Why? Because this is a social media dispensation. That is a transition from 1992 to 2025. What happened with Ninjom Frunzi was possible because we had limited media. Today, anyone can turn on their phone and they have a TV channel instantly on Facebook or YouTube or TikTok. This country is about to grow up in flames because I've studied how the humans in this country have been nurtured. Remember, the entire political campaign, as good as it sounds, from what Issa Churuma is saying, the people had one objective. Let us bring down this man. Even Maximilian Robespierre himself was beheaded. The same guillotine that he took people to, they chopped his head on the same guillotine. It's a brutal era in France, and that is the script that has been played in Cameroon for all these years. The same attitude. King Louis XVI could not continue with that regime because the people had gone through so much pain in the hands of his predecessors. King Louis XIV was a very talkative person. He was very outspoken. He was an extrovert in his early years. But if you look at his life, he became an introvert. Spoke little, showed up in public little. The Sun King, État c'est moi. Whatever complaint you have, he will look at you and say, "On va voir, we shall see." Paul Biya was very expressive in his formative years. But you realize as time goes on, he started distancing himself from the people. The same script. That is his mentor. And when I looked at his life and where he studied, and I looked at the figures that could inspire him to do what he did in Cameroon, there's no one else in the history of France except King Louis XIV. That is the leader that has nurtured you to become this human being that you are today. Whether you like it or not, you can argue about it. You can say that is not you, you are different. I know you are different. But 90% plus Cameroonians right now harbor this energy. You have been ruled by a Sun King. If you look at the entourage, the crowd, the team surrounding Paul Biya, they are all loyalists. That is exactly what King Louis XIV did. Almost everyone around Paul Biya that was against him, against his policies, they will look for some trumped up charges and make sure you go to prison for embezzlement, of which they can always find something to send it to prison. He became the man of few words, spoke little. And that is what King Louis XIV did. People will argue about policies, he will let them debate, and then he listens to the best and say, I will think about it. We shall see. That was the Sun King. I want you to listen to something very important, because this was his transition, right? Paul Biya was never elected. Amado Ahijo transferred, right, this baton over to Paul Biya. And in his mind, his goal is that I will rule, get to a place where I'm tired, because that is what King Louis, that was the monarchical system in France, transferred the baton over to King Louis XVI. And he paid for the sins of his forefathers. His head was chopped up at the guillotine. That is how King Louis XVI ended. The wife, Marie Antoinette, the same thing. Because they had no empathy for the common man. And that is why I say to Atangan Jipo, life is very short. And every young person who aspires to become a leader, love the people. Look at how Atangan Jipo speaks to the people as though they are nothing. You and your military, your everything. And then you quote scriptures. You can't do this to people. Fair? You can't. Now, for the Anglophones, I'll play something for you to watch, and then you have perspective as to how you coordinate yourself in a time such as this. Very important. Some thought maybe we will be free because we left the Anglophone zone and now we find ourselves in Garoua, maybe in Yaoundé, Douala, in Betwa, wherever you are around Cameroon. Listen to this. Very important. Fair. Let's take a listen.
Asia promised that we were coming back to fix the date. We were coming back in August to read and sign. In August, as I was the Prime Minister of the Southern Cameroon, we were dealing only with an interim federal government or an interim members of the house which we subscribed, but there was no parliament so called before the 1st of October. And if he uses that one to talk something about the federation to be born on the 1st of October, and to the best of my knowledge, it did not appear to me that that was going to precede the legalization of the draft constitution. So the very August I had to go back to him and remind him about the resumed constitution. When he did not answer me, in September, I reminded him, but unfortunately on 1st of October I used the draft to declare federation and unification, which did not finish and must come back. So there things went wrong. And by the 64, he had already made up his mind, scattered the, already more or less got into the main cadre of the KNDP and tried to scatter all and made some other laws, which would make him the supreme president.
If you listen carefully to what John Go Foncha said, this should help every Anglophone who went out there to vote. There was a law across the land that no Anglophone should participate in this election. You see how difficult it is for individuals to obey even leaders within their community that has their best interests at heart. And then we are talking about transformation within Cameroon that speaks English and French. Some beg to belong. They will accept us someday. We come from a community where we understand that we have ancestors, even in our tradition, those who came before us. In our tradition, the Tika civilization, that is throughout the entire Northwest, we believe in those who came before us, that life is a continuation. The book did not start with us. Some laid the foundation for us to get where we are today. The law of gravity affects you whether you like it or not. Disobeying this, listening to what Foncha just said, you are not legally part of Cameroon. I mean, legally, you are not a Cameroonian. They had an interim federal system. The relationship was never consummated. He was the one on the steering. And if I bring a message like this and you reject it, they pass a law across the land and you reject it because you are a wise person. You're very smart than most. So you went on and participated in that election, while your people have been suffering for all these years. The karma is built in. The bad luck is built in that decision. I mean, you can argue, right? You can say whatever you want to say, but the effects are built in. Understanding who I am, understanding this history, helped me to have perspective and peace of mind. When I was running around the One Cameroon thing, the ill luck was enormous. Just finding me, understanding this history has given me peace of mind and perspective that I've never had. disobedience, my people, there is karma built in. When things start going wrong in your life and you are looking for where it started, understand that it is this cooperation with people that have treated your people terribly. They've died in their thousands. You ignore all of that. If you find yourself in a safe place, you go on to play politics. Politics will not cut this. Again, we come from a tradition where we are taught to obey those who came before us. Life is a continuation. It did not start with you. Violating this, there are consequences built in. My people, I had to learn the hard way. When things start going wrong in your life, don't say, where's the bad luck coming from? Understand that if we arrive at a crossroads like this, and we say, everybody stay at home, we should obey that. And I encourage everyone, go buy the book, Things Fall Apart, by Chinua Achebe. You have a firm understanding of who you are. The European man's politics will not cut this ill luck in our community. Go read that book and understand who you are. You cannot argue your way out of this. You will talk and argue and claim you are right. But my brother, the effect is building. You see why we are struggling to make progress, even as Anglophones right now? Because of opinions everywhere. Everybody knows. Everybody is a wise person. You see what is happening and what will happen to Atanganji Paul? Yeah, this is what happens when you dine, eat with the devil at the expense of your people's pain. And our ancestors are in their graves. They are watching over us and they see us blunder. Videos like this surface, we teach on what to do. You still turn around and say, oh, forget about that. I'll keep doing what I'm doing. My brother, there are consequences building. In that book, Things Fall Apart, you will understand that one person's decision affects the entire community. One person's decision can affect the entire community. It did not take many Africans to cooperate for slavery and slave trade to happen. Just one chief got engaged. One European came down with an idea. Our people got engaged. And today, the consequences are building. And we can see how our culture, our traditions, our way of life, our thinking. See colonialism, for example. My brother, it has done a great deal of hell on us. The effects are still eminent today. You cannot talk your way out of this. It is real. We are seeing it every day. How corrupt our leaders are, corrupt our presidents, funds, chiefs. We can see the corruption in broad daylight. It took just one person to engage in that conversation. And this is what you, as a Tika man, so-called Anglophone, engages with the people that have killed our boys, raped our women, burned villages. These are all the impact of their actions on our land. And you choose to go vote in that system after listening to John Foncha say this was an interim federal system. That relationship was never consummated. And so the consequences were built in. You see what happened to Amadou Ahidjo? He got tricked out of his own position, transferred the baton over to Paul Biya, ended up in exile, and passed away in exile. His corpse is still in Senegal as we speak. It is real. The gods of the Tika is awake. Do you hear me? Whether you're a pastor, you're a fund cooperating with this system, the consequences are generational. It will not stop with you. It will affect you and your children's children. Unless you cleanse yourself and make a U-turn, the consequences are building. I just want to let you guys know. It is better that I say it and then you disobey it than claiming you don't know and then you keep doing what you're doing. So the ancestors woke me up to this realization, and I'm passing on this message to you, that your participation in this government is earlock over you and your children's children. You will see it in the life of Atanga Njipo very soon. Very soon you will see it. So that you understand what will happen to you when you continue this way. We will not need someone to run after you, the king or the God. Brother, it will meet you. Sister, it will meet you. That smartness, right? It will meet you. So I thought I passed the message with grace. That a system will treat us this way. You go join them and vote in that system. When the message went out in the community that none of us should participate in this, because we are not, and you've heard it from our founding father, Fonja, that relationship was not consummated. I ran around hoping that Ayejo would sign this document. And for all the Francophones, if you want to see peace and prosperity in Cameroon, let the Anglophones go. Don't claim you don't have a voice. Everything is with the government, because whatever Pobia does will affect you and your children's children. And we have seen the effect in our lifetime. Fair? Now, let's listen some more to what Minister Atanga Njipo has in store for you. Get ready. Get ready. Let's take a listen.
Candidates for presidential election should be reminded that they all signed a code of good conduct drafted by Elections Cameroon, which requires them to respect the entire electoral process and the laws of the Republic. The administration will take drastic measures to put an end to any attempt of fabricating fake election results and publishing them on illegal platforms. Defaulters, regardless of their political status or social rank, shall face the heavy arm of the law. As it has always been the case, there will obviously be complaints and observations from candidates after the presidential election. However, the administration's position is consistent. Candidates must use legal channels to file their complaints, observations, or grievances in due time. That is the part of wisdom. That is a sign of political maturity and sense of responsibility. The head of state, His Excellency President Paul Biya, had given firm instructions for a well-organized, credible, and peaceful presidential election held in a secure environment. I wish to assure the national and the international communities that the presidential election of today took place in the 10 regions without any major incident. I can say it was hitch-free. Henceforth, the leniency observed during the campaign period is over. I must emphasize that break time is over. Only the vote counting bodies will continue with the process. These are the divisional and national vote counting commissions, which all have a well-defined working time frame. Subsequently, the Constitutional Council shall take over until the official proclamation of election results. No action out of this legal framework shall be tolerated. All attempts to disrupt the electoral process at the end of the polls will be considered by MINAT as a casus belli and treated as such. I would like to conclude my statement.
Population that poured out in Chang, demanding that the results do not be changed. In Chang, they held that Issa Chiroma won and the result must be certified as such. That's why the people poured out and burned. I understand they said the rector, I don't know, rector of what, I don't know, but that was part of the protest. Now, after Chang, after the revolt in Chang, this is what was left. This is what was left. In the following day, this is what turned up the following day. The debris. Look at those military trucks burned down in Chang. Military trucks burned down in Chang. That is what was left the following day. The following day of the election, ladies, and I mean the following day of the riot in Chang, ladies and gentlemen. That is what was left there. That is what was left there. And I will bring you more images coming from Chang. More images coming from Chang. I'll bring you more images from there. But what you are seeing on your screen, those are the remains. That's what turned up the following day after the Chang riots. That's what turned out. You see, those military trucks turned over and burned by the people, burned by the people who did not want to tolerate or accept any cheating. The people rejected it and showed up in their numbers. And what you see there, well, the remain of it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let me take you to, I think this is also, this is in the north. I think this is in Garua. This was in Garua, ladies and gentlemen. The images you seeing there, that was Garua. And you can see the citizens, civilians burning armored cars belonging to the military. This other image I'm going to show you is also coming from the locality called Kuseri. Kuseri, I think, is in the far north, bordering the Republic of Chad. You find here a military truck. I will learn there were at least 50 military personnel. 50 military personnel were armed in this truck. The truck was attacked by civilians, and the military personnel all disappeared. They ran with their lives. And what you see there, are the remains, the carcasses of the truck they were riding in. That was again in Kuseri. That was in Kuseri. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is what is going on the ground. Now, the advocacy for Biya to give up, to surrender and hand over to Issa Chiroma is huge on the ground. Human rights advocates, other political parties, they have endorsed Issa Chiroma. They have endorsed Issa Chiroma, and they are essentially asking Eleka and the Constitutional Council to do the right thing. In the meantime, Issa Chiroma is still in his home, protected by the people. We learn people are taking shifts, protecting him. People are gathered there in the thousands, shielding his compound, protecting him from being arrested by La République du Cameroon soldiers who are in their thousands in the city of Garua. He is under protection by the people. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is what is going on the ground. Let me now go back to the story of the day. The story of the day that has to do with the disappearance, ladies and gentlemen, of Ferdinand Ngongo and Paul Atanyenji's families. Coming to you tonight, we receive information that Ferdinand Ngongo. Ferdinand Ngongo has gotten his wife and family to get out of the country to Europe. That is Ferdinand Ngongo, and that is the wife, we are told. They are now out of the country. They are in Europe. Ngongo, of course, is still on the ground, but the wife is out. The wife and family, they are out. They are out of Cameroon. I guess Ferdinand Ngongo is waiting to see what happens. He is probably waiting until ELECAM and the Constitutional Council announce the results of the election before you choose what to do. Maybe to join the wife in Europe. The same thing with Paul Atanganji. The same thing with Paul Atanganji. We are told that Paul Atanganji's family is out in Europe. Paul Atanganji's family is also out in Europe. While Ngongo sent out his family, Paul Atanganji also sent out his own family, and they are all out of the country. They are all out of the country. And as per the time we came live to you, we were also hearing that Paul Biya is about to travel out of the country. We're told that Paul Biya is about to travel out of the country. We don't understand. We have no idea why suddenly they are jumping onto the planes and heading to heading to Europe. It just doesn't make sense, but that is exactly what is going on. But if there is anything to be learned from this, ladies and gentlemen, before I forget, the next person who is about sending his family out of the country is Paul Tasong. Paul Tasong will learn is also making plans to send his family out of the country. That is another person online whose family is about to get out of Cameroon. You know what I think? I really hope these embassies stop them from getting out of the country. Yeah, I hope these foreign embassies stop these guys from getting out of the country. They have created a mess of that country, and now they are about to jump out to seek refuge and protection in Europe and maybe in America. These so-called European countries that preach human rights. I hope they will stop Paul Atanganji, Ngongo, Paul Biya, Paul Tasong, and the rest of them. And the rest of them, the entire cabinet, including Dion Gute and the rest. I hope that these European countries stop them from flying into their countries. Let them stay in that country and face the music, the kind of pain they inflicted on the regular citizen. I really hope those European diplomats would do that. Cancel their visas. Cancel their visas and tell them, you can't travel. You have to wait until election results are announced before you travel. That is what right-thinking diplomats should be doing. And if they are listening to me, that is the right thing to do. France should cancel the visa of every Cameroon minister. Belgium, Switzerland, London, USA, Washington DC, stop their visas. Cancel their visas. Let them stay home and face the music. That's what it should be. Let them stay there and face the music. They should not escape anywhere. I was listening yesterday as somebody sent a message and said Paul Biya's daughter Brenda Biya is lamenting out there in Switzerland and saying that the father lost the election and she is receiving such horrible treatment at a Continental Hotel in Switzerland because the father is assumed to no longer be president of Cameroon. Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, that is what is going on in La République du Cameroon. And it's a matter of when. It's a matter of when these men will leave, these men surrender and hand over that country to who it duly belongs at this moment. That is Asa Chiroma. Asa Chiroma. I recall Biya was asked a question on the day of election, and he was asked, Paul Biya was asked on the day of the election, as you run for president for the eighth time, what plans, what agenda do you have to execute for the country at this moment? What is your plan for the country at this moment? Biya was asked. And you know his answer? His answer was, well, I can't say anything right now because I don't know whether I have won the elections. The Biya of 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, we stand right there and tell you I started the electrification of the country and I have to finish it. I started the construction of roads in social areas in the country. I have to finish it. I started the provision of pipe bomb water across the country and I have to finish it. But you know what he said this time? I cannot say anything because I am not sure yet. And yes, indeed, he wasn't sure. He isn't sure. And he should know by now he is out. He is out. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a break out, and when I come back, the phone lines will be open. Remember, this is open mic, and with open mic, you do most of the talking, I do most of the listening. So when I come back, I will open the phone lines to take your calls and hear what you have to say about what is going on in La République du Cameroon. Okay, please go nowhere. I'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for staying put out there. Again, tonight this is open mic. And you know, with open mic, you do most of the talking, and I sit here and listen to you. In the moment, the phone lines will be open for you to call in. Before you call in, if you want me to take your call, make sure you shut down the volume of your set in the background, because if you are trying to listen to me and talk to me, listening to your phone, to your television set in the background, there will be a delay. I can't hear you and you can't hear me. So before you call, you want me to take your call, shut the volume in the background down and focus on the phone on which you call. But today, again, we have been talking about what is going on in La République du Cameroon. The fire on the ground, the tension on the ground, and Ngo, Atanganji, Paul Biya's families, all picking their luggages and running out of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, I have also mentioned that Asa Chiroma is standing and defending his victory, and they are not waiting for Elekam and the Constitutional Council to tell them who won the elections. They know who won. They know that Asa Chiroma won. For them, it is no longer a thing of debate. They have claimed it. They are standing on it. Now, You may be saying, Chris, but this is not about Ambazonia. Of course, this has nothing to do with Ambazonia. Ambazonia is waiting and watching, observing what is happening in La République du Cameroon. Again, I want Issa Chiroma to take over that leadership. He has promised a lot of things. We want to see, right? We're going to test him. For those who wanted us to go and vote, Ambazonians to go participate in the vote, many people called and said, Chris, you guys have an opportunity. Open the doors, cancel the lockdown so that Ambazonians can go and vote for this guy who can bring us change. Fellow Ambazonians, listen to me. There is no single La République du Cameroon politician you can trust. When they are looking for your vote, they say anything. Paul Biya came to Bamenda and said he is the fund of funds. What did he do to Bamenda? Look at Bamenda. It's worse than what he met. Bamenda is worse than what he met. Yet he is a fund of funds. He promised a ring road. Where is the ring road? The Santa Bamenda Road or Mbunda Bamenda Road. Tell me, how many years did it take them to fix that little half of the road that is not up to 100 kilometers? Think about that. Think about that. They told us year after year of, building the seaport in Victoria. Isn't it? Building the seaport in Victoria. They promised everything over the years. And the trouble is they send our own people, the so-called elite, to come around and lie to us. I was listening an audio yesterday of Paul Tasson telling his people before the election, you have to go and vote for Paul Biya. Paul Biya is the only one who has given us a road to Mount Bin. Paul Biya is the only one who has built a town hall. A town hall, he said. A town hall in Mount Bin for his people. If you vote for any other person, we're going to lose. Paul Biya has appointed a minister. He has appointed me a minister, Paul Tasson said, for you people. So please make sure you vote for Paul Biya. And Paul Tasson went around, collected over 30 million people. Collected over
Nous sommes déjà presque arrivés à la fin de cette édition spéciale, l'une des chaînes sociopolitiques. Alors, bienvenue donc pour la prochaine. Bam!